Okay, Google Kickstart 2019 round G starts in 20 seconds. I set up my environment. And my idea for recording is I will turn off the sound even in 10 seconds, just to focus on the contest. I will try to win, of course. Then maybe I will add some commentary after the contest. So wish me good luck. Hello, Kamil from the future here. And we're starting. The first problem is book reading. I remember that I've misread this problem first. The statement is that there are pages numbered from 1 to n and some readers. For every reader, first some pages are torn out, they are not there. Then there are some readers, and for every reader we know that he reads only pages that are multiplies of some number. That is, by the way, a bit stupid problem, kind of forced. Readers don't usually read every 10th page unless it's turned out, then they skip that. And I thought that we should print the sum of numbers of pages that they read, while the statement is you should count them and print the sum of numbers of pages read by all the readers. I thought that we print a number for every reader. I wasted like a minute there. So I thought those are queries that are kind of independent. By the way, it's already a few days after the contest, and I'm now adding some, not live, but post-contest commentary, so you wouldn't be bored just by looking at my code. What do? We read R, that what multiplies we are interested in, and we iterate over R, 2R, 3R, and so on till we don't exceed n. If that is not bad, so not turned out, then we add to the answer, and that shouldn't be answer of R plus equal I. It should be just plus plus. I didn't know that. By the way, I did a stream after that day with LeetCode and Kickstart contest, and for the first half an hour of that stream I talked about solutions from Kickstart. If you want to hear that with drawings, a link will be in the description or in the pinned comment. It's the first hour of that stream, so you can there see solutions. Right now I'm only talking about what happens during that contest, not really trying to present the full solution to you. But here the complexity is n log n, because if we iterate over multiples of 1, then multiples of 2, 3, and so on, the amortized complexity of the total thing is n log n. Now what happens? I print too many numbers, a lot of zeros. Total is 0. Now I realize that we need the sum, and we don't print so many things. It's important to remember about longs in C++, not to get overflow. 70994, yeah, works. I wasn't sure here if I can copy paste the code or whether I can just upload it, because I emulate Linux system in Windows, what isn't that easy. In Windows it's easier for me to record videos. Linux is a bit buggy, let's say. And important here for contest is, if you are in hurry, then don't look at the leaderboard, because that's a waste of time. I submitted the first problem, went immediately for the second problem without even a second wasted. I don't even wait for the result of that first problem. In Google Code Jam, your final time is the maximum of submissions, not the sum of submissions.
You'll need to unlock your phone.
Oh, my phone again thought that I'm talking to it. You shouldn't waste time on correcting the first problem and waiting for verdict, because What matters is the maximum submission. It's fine if after all 3 problems I see wrong answer and then correct it. As long as you're strong psychologically, that it doesn't bother you, that you don't know verdict of the first problem, you can just move to the second one. And this second problem is about XOR of numbers, so for sure something with bits. Numbers are up to 10 to 15, and this is why you can see in code me iterating over bits from 52 to 0. From 50 to 0 would be enough. This is how many bits 10 to 15 can have. I'm not going to now explain the solution. Again, go watch the first half an hour of that stream. What else do we see here interesting? Yet again, CodeGem tries to always have some story in the problem, and here we have the loss of universe can be represented by an array of n non-negative integers, blah blah blah, the universe is good, and so on. I guess I'm writing something on a piece of paper now. At the end, in 20 minutes, the past Kamil will show you what notes he has. So CodeGem and Kickstart in general always tries to have some statement, what is sometimes very stupid, because the statement is artificial. Here in the problem is given some sequence, figure out this value k such that something is satisfied. I don't understand why they want so much to have a story, like here, loss of universe. What was that in the previous problem? In the previous problem it was fine, but still very forced. It was obvious that the problem was invented first and only then some story. Can they just say you're given this sequence with some numbers removed, find then the sum over multiplies or the number of multiplies of this number? I remember that one of organizers of CodeGem talked with us during CodeGem finals that he doesn't like in platforms like Topcoder that the statements are so stupid. Like, there is somebody who got as Christmas gift, he got a sequence and something happens with that sequence. Well, this is just, this Kickstart thing is not better, I would say. So it's a choice between having just a formal statement, like for this sequence do that, versus creating some artificial story. Of course, from time to time the story can be natural. It will very, very much fit the problem, but it isn't always the case. Maybe you can argue that Google CodeGem is much bigger, more important competition. Oh, every time I say Google, then my phone turns on. I have Google Pixel, by the way. So I can say CodeGem, but not Google CodeGem. No, I'm looking at my phone to see if it turns on again. Okay, what happens in my implementation? Yeah, we don't want to exceed some value m in the input, and then I see that if I can improve something and that possible new value maybe it still doesn't exceed m, then I use that. Otherwise, apparently something else. Already, I think I made the typo. Already is a hard word to spell. Puts -1, by the way, in C++, prints -1 and adds a new line. It's just a bit faster than print -1 \n. I strongly recommend not removing pieces of your code if they are not longer necessary during a contest. Just comment them as I did. I have a button, I think it's for me Ctrl-E, to comment. It's very fast, and if it turns out that I need that, I don't need to panic and hit Ctrl-Z, get back to that version, because turns out I need that code. Debug is my thing that can print variables. And here I analyze using that. I get too many minus ones. And I just didn't apply the logic correctly. I think it was that first we need to iterate over bits, and for every bit say what is the best bit there that will give me small sum in total that shouldn't exceed m. And then I go through bits again and I consider switching bit 0 to 1, and I see if I still don't exceed the total sum. If I don't, then I do it. And that when I switch from 0 to 1, instead of then saying that to the sum I add what contribution there is from bit 1, I should say this minus what I already added. If I have answer, let's say the current sum 50, that included value 10 that was already counted, and now I consider switching 10 to 12, then I should just add plus 2. Also, now you saw me seeing verdict for first problem, and if that was incorrect, I would now try to fix it. Why not? It's just that waiting for verdict is bad. And here I'm reading the last problem, C. And up to when n is up to 20, your first thought should be, oh, maybe bit masks or exponential solution, complexity 2 to n. And I started implementing that because, again, I've misread the statement. I was just unlucky in this contest. Twice it happened. When I'm in hurry, I don't try to read the full statement. I skip the story, kind of, or at least rush through it. Then it can easily happen that I misunderstand something. Well, 2 out of 3 problems is a bad statistic. I was just unlucky. Here I thought that they require me just to iterate over bit masks, and I knew that something is wrong. That would be too easy. But I didn't understand what is wrong, so I started implementing. I thought, oh, maybe iterative version doesn't pass, so I should go with recursion, what is a bit more complicated but faster. Here it's 2 to n instead of 2 to n times n for iterative approach. And yeah, I wonder when past Camille realizes that something is wrong. The actual brute force solution will be 3 to n, because we have n shifts, and for every shift either both can. Yeah, I wrote a comment that expresses my thoughts. I didn't want to turn on the microphone to waste time. I now realize that for every moment of those n moments in this problem, shifts, either first person has a shift, or second, or both. So there are 3 options, and that means 3 to n. And but already after, when I first time read the problem, I knew that, oh, maybe they will require meet in the middle from me. Even more, I will say that even before looking at the constraints, I expected n to be around 40. I remember that, oh, I guess they will say n is 40 and I should use meet in the middle. Then I scrolled down, saw n up to 20, and I was confused. Why is it so easy? Then started implementing this incorrect approach. But yeah, if it's 3 to n, still we can use meet in the middle, that splits the input in half, considers all 3 to n over 2 possibilities on the left and on the right, then tries to merge that. And the goal is to make them equally happy. No, to make all of them, to give both of them happiness, at least something. So from each half you should get their happiness of A and happiness of B from those two, and then you need to count the number of correct ways to choose some scenario from the first half and some from the second half, and that can be done with sweeping, with a sweep line, because those pairs should be treated then as points in 2 dimensions. Now I minimized I maximized the editor, because I knew I will be now implementing something for 10 minutes. But not 10 minutes maybe, but for a long time, and I don't need the statement. I know what I'm doing. but I used at least the template for my recursive function, that for every item it either increases happiness of A or happiness of B or both. There are three options. Yeah, we see that here. And that should be then A plus AI and B plus BI. Here we go. Then I will run this recursive function for the first half from 0 to n over 2 and for the second half. Those options add some pairs to a global vector vec. Then between them I clear vec.clear. It should be EAR, clear. Then second half I save to right. And now what I need to do is I have two vectors of pairs L and R. I compile from time to time. Every time when I finish some part of the solution, I compile just to see mistakes and correct them. And now I want to run sample test to see if there I indeed find some triples that make sense. It's not that I want to go carefully through those triples. I just see that, yeah, something was calculated, vectors are not empty, I can continue. I could also do that at the very end, but it helps a little bit to make that 5 seconds pause for example, copying the test, because still it doesn't require my brain to just copy the test, and in the meantime I can think what exactly I want. And here I first implemented brute force approach, where just for every pair something from left and something from right, if the total happiness of one person and the other is at least H, then it increased the answer. I saved, you can see copy c.cpp brute.cpp. I knew that this is a working solution, at least working for a sample. I have some code now that when I get wrong answer later, I can compare my c.cpp with saved file brute.cpp on small tests, maybe random, maybe written by hand, or maybe big tests, to find a counter test, analyze it, and debug it easier. Plus, I already know that, at least for sample test, the first part is fine. I just need to correctly implement the sweep line. I create vector of events. Every event is of type either point from left half or right half. For every, I guess, left half, I will, on that sweep line, on the segment tree, I will add +1 at some point, and then for the other type, I will ask for the sum in prefix. But if you want details, head on to that stream, post-contest stream, where I talk about solutions in more detail. And I think I will leave you here. Oh, the Camille from the contest is close to finishing, I guess. Maybe not that close, but in a few minutes he should be done. So I will appear once more close to the end to talk about some testing. I think I managed to got accepted on the sample test. I'm quickly uploading the file. And now you should see that what I do. I check if the second problem passed, because if not, then I want to correct it. No, but turns out it passed. And now, instead of waiting for a verdict, I decided to think about tests, to test some more. If I get wrong answer, then anyway I need to find a mistake in my solution. Then my first thought was, oh, maybe I will create one more test that looks like that. But then I remember I changed my mind. I got accepted here. I wanted to see in the statement what is the format of input. And I think I'm trying to create a max test. It takes me a bit long time because I didn't understand the input format correctly. And even though I got accepted, the idea is there's small and big subtask. So for sure, for n up to 12, everything is right. But now I can test n that is exactly 20, and for example check the running time or check for some overflows. Instead of creating that in test, I decided to modify the code. And I already made my last submission. I'm just testing this problem because if I see, oh, this is too slow, maybe I did a bug that makes my solution 3 to n instead of 3 to n over 2. So now I created a max test. I used time to measure the time on that test. It turns out to be around 40 milliseconds, and that is perfectly fine. But well, I can test on 10 tests like that, and it's still fine. I'm checking for overflows. I checked if answer is long, because if not, then I could get wrong answer on the big test. I took a look at the leaderboard, and one more thing is to maybe check if in the first or second problem there is something to correct. But well, I'm back with sound. Oh, I think I'm done. I solved all the big subtasks. All my submissions are for big subtasks. Maybe I should look for some overflows. Or, well, time limit exceeded is also possible. But on the other hand, if I mess up something and I will resubmit, I will be too far in the leaderboard anyway. Oh, I won by 2 seconds with Cerberus. A lot of people from India today. But I was just too slow to win. Of course, I can still hope that one of those two messed up something. What can you mess up? Oh, in this problem, it's very easy to mess up because any overflow might hurt. In small tests, values are up to 100. I wonder if I have some mistake here, maybe. And it's up to what, 1000? I didn't even think what is n. Okay, so thanks to value 1000, can I have an overflow? I use 52, which is 4 million. I will have 4 times 10 to 18. What should be in now? What should fit? I hope. But barely. I should have used here 50. I tried to be, very safe, and I'm now close to overflowing long. Okay, if you don't know Google CodeGem or Kickstart rules, there are usually small subtasks and big subtasks for a problem, and the result for a big one that has bigger constraints is revealed only after the contest. So, optimistically, I can win here. Pessimistically, all my big subtasks can fail, and then I have only 10 plus 12 plus 20, which is 42, instead of how many points I have? 100. I see Radeusz, half a minute behind me. Yeah, like, if you are fast, then anything here is possible. I wasted around 2 minutes because I even wrote here, that they can both be somewhere, I already started implementing some fast recursive 2 to n solution. This is why I made something global, which was unnecessary. My first thought was, after reading the problem, was that each day one of them goes to a shift, then it's 2 to n. Like I expected n to be up to 40 to do meet in the middle. Then I realized it's 4 power n, and then I added meet in the middle, what gives me 3 to the n over 2 times log. But log of that is n, so it's n times 2 to the n over 2. Yep, and now what? There is lead code competition in, I think, half an hour. Let me make sure. Newbie weekly contest. Yeah, it starts in 30 minutes, so I have now 30 minutes off. Then I will try to win that one. Maybe it will work. And after that, in I think 2 hours, I have a scheduled stream after lead code and Kickstart. So likely, if you're watching that now on YouTube, the stream appears first in YouTube, because now I cannot post this recorded video before the contest ends, which is like in 2 more hours. Only after that I will start a stream, and I will edit the whole thing, I guess, tomorrow. I prepared before a contest some paper, and I wanted to, after the contest, I wanted to make screen of my notes for every problem, but this is everything that I have here. I just wrote down a binary string 0011 to see what should happen if there is a tie for the problem about XOR, and then I wrote down 3 to 10, and this is everything I have. Nothing too valuable. Maybe I will just post this half an hour recording and that's it. It shouldn't hurt too much, right? Because I didn't want to talk while solving, because I don't have a chance for the win. That slows me down, obviously. I can, when I see what I do later, I can add a commentary over the video. That was the idea. Or maybe just to, because people will want to see all of that today. Maybe I should not do it. Or I will actually, if I do lead code quickly, which is likely, those contests take like 15 minutes, I think, then I will have enough time before a stream. So what? In half an hour lead code starts, it will take me 15 minutes. I will have hour and a half, hour 45 more to edit the video. But also I would need to edit lead code video. I guess I will start editing after lead code is done. Actually, I have 28 minutes now. Maybe I will do it now. Okay? So I will be back to recording in 25 minutes for lead code. And for results, you can go to that post-contest stream and watch the first 10 seconds. Thanks for watching.